Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Eugene Honrath from Shadow Warriors, and I've got Nick Tobin from Pickle Kutterz. Pickle Kutterz,
That's
right?
it. That's it. What's going on, everybody?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Not too bad. Yourself?
Good, good, good. I mean, it's a little cold here. It's at the time of filming, we're in January, and it's 50s.
50s. It must be nice.
Listen, man,
It's in
listen,
the
listen.
subs here. It's in the
Is it?
sub-zeros here. Yeah, it's been for like the past 3 days. We had two power outages, intermittent power outages for like 24 hours.
Oh,
It was pretty wild for those days, but it was great. We made it through. It is what it is.
yeah, we so anything below 70, people are turning the heat on. People are putting like parkas and Uggs, and you would probably laugh at them.
Yeah, I'm a hoodie guy. This is what I wore throughout that Arctic blast they called it, where it's like 35 below.
Oh, that's
But
crazy.
you get acclimated to it, like I've brought up here. So it's the
Oh,
Great White North, right?
sure,
You
sure.
get used to it.
It's the opposite too, right? So here with the heat and humidity, but
Yeah,
doesn't bother us if you're used to it, and your blood thins.
you're in
Uh,
Florida, right?
Florida, yeah, Tampa.
Yeah, yeah. I've been down to Fort Myers quite a few
Oh,
times in
yeah,
the
yeah.
naval area too, and look exactly what you're saying. Like I go down there and I'm dying. It's like, give me some AC, give me some shade. Like, you want to go to the beach, Nick? No, thanks. I've been to the beach in my life. Just let's
Check,
go to the shop.
check.
Yeah,
I did it. I don't want anything
yeah,
else. So
yeah.
where are you at?
I am in New Brunswick, Canada. It's a little township called Clare. It's a border town to Maine.
Okay.
And right across the border from me is Fort Kent, Maine. And we have our first mile of Route 1 up here too, because there's one down in Florida
Yep.
where they call it their first mile, but it originally started up here, I guess. I don't know. I'm not here to argue with anybody,
Okay. Okay.
but that's pretty much where I live. Like where that sign is the first mile, I could walk 5 minutes from here across the border, and I'm looking at that sign. So
Now, is it like rural? Is it really remote country? Like
it's country. It's
neighbor?
very rural country.
Okay.
Neighbors, everybody knows everybody. You don't lock your doors, and
Oh,
we do our little life living. Yeah, we had a population sub 1,000 here for a while, but in the past years things have changed, and that has grown a bit. But it's for the better because like we got a lot of manufacturing and slaughterhouses around here where a lot of the younger people have left because
yep.
there wasn't much work back then. So
Sure.
you need people to keep the workforce going and things running, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
the population has grown a bit in the past years, and I ain't gonna complain about it because, like I said, it helps.
Yeah. 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 With things in general. Yeah. I always you kind of talked about the low crime, and we're fortunate in I live in Tampa. It's a city without a city. There are bad areas, and
Yes.
it's but there's no place that's like DC, ghetto,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Philly, Baltimore,
Detroit.
New York, Detroit, like
Yeah.
there's places, and I mean, because I have experience, there's places in West Baltimore that like you don't drive through at night.
Yeah. No, you don't go even in Hartford, Connecticut, because like I've lived in not in Hartford, but in Bristol
Okay.
for about 9 years when I got out of high school. And even where I was in Bristol, like I was on Burlington Avenue, and you go down Route 6, and then there was Davis Drive, which was the ghetto. And like I never drove through Davis Drive. I had no reason to. There was no reason for me to go either. And there's reasons for that. So,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
just my whole thing is like I don't know. I would if I had a place where I didn't think that I could keep my family safe,
exactly.
I'm gone.
Yep.
See ya.
Yep.
I'm just not.
Yep.
I just it's not.
Why remain in that situation if you could change it, right? Like if it's in your control to change it, make it better.
Yeah, I think that sometimes people just get they get stuck. So
Yep.
but all right, so you're in Canada, right on the border of America. How do you have dual citizenship, or how hard
Yep.
is it, like easy or hard to like go back and forth over the border?
we'll start with the citizenship. I was actually born in Maine, and
Okay.
my parents were on this side of the border here in Canada. So back in the day, you'd get your dual citizenship and all that. It's not that way anymore. You gotta like choose one or whatever. So like that's how I ended up being a dual citizen. And like I
Nice.
mentioned earlier when we were talking, there's a bunch of us up here that are dual citizens because the closest hospital was across the border, and a lot of
Sure.
people gave birth there. Um, oh shit, what was the other question?
And then how easy is it to go back and
Oh, to
forth?
get across, yeah, that is depending where you are, I guess, because like I could cross here, and when I get into Fort Kent, all the agents there, I know them. Some of them I actually grew up with.
Okay.
Well, not grow up with, but like I have family in Maine, so like younger, at the ski hill, at the swimming pool, at the whatever. I knew these guys, so when I cross, we shoot the shit more than anything else.
Okay. But
If I got
it's
anything
not
to
like a
declare,
process.
declare. No, no, it's a land crossing and it's very, very easy. But if I go up to Edmundston, which is 30 minutes out to the city, and I cross into Madawaska there, where they just built the new port, the entry port, and it's like super high tech and crazy, like guns loaded, everything. And it would be harder to cross there. Like it would be crossable, but the ease of crossing is much easier here, where they're used to seeing me cross every day. And when I cross back into Canada, I graduated with half of them that work there, so it's even easier. Yeah,
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, I don't have experience with that. We don't. I mean, I've gone over borders, but
yeah.
nothing like that. I'm in that
It used to
close.
be way easier back in the day, like before 9/11 and all that. When nobody needed a passport to cross in between both countries, we'd drive our bikes by as kids. Like you wouldn't let an 8-year-old cross the border all by himself today without asking any questions, like, right? So when I was 8, I would cross over back and forth to go see my cousins and friends in Maine.
Oh
Same thing
gosh.
with them. So and it
Yeah.
wasn't a problem, but it wouldn't roll that way today.
Ah.
Way
Yeah.
different now.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been a lot different. Yeah. I don't know if we ever get back to the whole. I mean, because you have so much other stuff, other people, other things that aren't supposed to be there going over the border and all that kind
Yeah,
of stuff. I mean, it's comical how porous and how like high tech you're basically getting scanned, and
yeah.
all your vehicle and everything's getting scanned, and then other
Oh yeah.
places people are like, da 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 da
Yep.
da.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like you cross into the States and they have like the radioactive scanners and all that. Like say if you're going through chemotherapy and you cross the border, you have to have a doctor's paper because you set off the alarms for radiation.
Oh my gosh!
But you cross into Canada, there's none of that shit. Like
Come on in, guys. It's all good.
bring in the dirty bombs,
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty
Uh,
wild, yeah.
but so all right. So tell me about your business. Tell me. So it's Pickle Kutterz.
Yeah, Kutterz with a K.
All right, tell me about it. When did you start and how'd you get into primarily knife making, right?
All right, well, this all started in 2020. We're rolling up on 5 years here in March, and we
Okay.
all know what happened in March of 2020, right? So I was one of those guys that lost his job due to COVID,
Okay.
and I was in the furniture industry making custom wood furniture and all that, and
Oh, that's
stairways,
awesome.
mantles. Yeah, I was always a carpenter slash finish worker, and then I got sick of that and hung up my pouch and went into furniture. And then, like I said, COVID
What
hit.
kind of
Oh,
furniture?
just anything, dude. You need a hutch, I'll make a hutch. You need a table, I'll make tables.
Oh, so it was like custom
TV
furniture?
sticks. Yeah, all custom furniture. Yeah, like that's what I was into, and I just like when we were talking earlier. I like to make things different, not always be on the same product or whatever. Like a batch of knives does not interest me. Like making 20 of the same knives, I have a hard time with. So, anyways, yeah, the whole furniture thing. COVID hit, got laid off, and they gave us that whole 2 weeks to flatten the curve. So I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna bug out for 2 weeks. I'm just gonna like hit the woods. I'm gonna go camping, like bushcraft, like bushcraft mode. And bushcrafting, a lot of it has to do with making your own tools and traps and this and that. And that's something I've always been to. You know, we grew up in the woods here, so
Sure.
we've done it our whole lives. Uh, so at that point, I was like, I want to make a knife before I do this, you know,
Okay.
because that's something I had never made. I'd done a lot of axe restoration and everything else, and I had actually sat in the shop for a couple of days, restored a few axes just to kill time, and those sold too right off Facebook, right off the bat. So then I decided I was going to make that knife. I made it. I posted it on Facebook, and it sold like for $35, and I never bugged out after that, and just never stopped.
Hold on. So the first knife you made that you were going to use for camping and bushcrafting sold? Like you sold it?
Yeah, for $35.
Okay, where's
Yeah.
that? Does that person still have it?
Yeah, she still has it. It's a she, and she doesn't even want to sell it to me. Like I offered her a brand new, legit, modern pickle cutters, and she's like, "Nope, I
I
am
was going to
keeping
say,
this."
what's your name? I'll go.
But
I
it looks something like it's great because I got one here. This is from like maybe the first 20 knives I made. This one here, a good
oh
friend of me, a good friend of mine had bought off me. I think I sold it to him for $50 because it had like that beautiful stabilized maple, and so I sold that to him. It came back here because he lost track of it, and it ended up spending the summer in a tub full of water, like rainwater and shit. So it's very, very hurt right now.
yeah.
But that was from like the first 20 knives, maybe. And it just, like I said, it never stopped. Like I post them to Facebook, and then that was March. I think by May, I had my own shop because I was working out of the woodworking shop. So by May, I had a dedicated knife shop and Facebook page and everything else. And that's when I started going hard at it. And it just grew and never
You
stopped.
so did you ever go hunting and or bushcrafting and
No,
camping?
I never got to it yet.
You did not.
I haven't bugged out for those 2 weeks yet. I never, I've done a few nights here
I'm
and
still
there,
stuck
but
here.
yeah, no, I'm still sitting here and I haven't moved much. Like there's so many things that I had in mind of doing with my life that have just changed, you know, like this is what it is, and I accept it because I feel this is my ex, this is my calling, my niche, you know,
Yeah.
this is for me. This is
Yeah.
how I get to express myself without having to say a fucking word.
Yeah.
And I people appreciate what I do, so it makes me feel good too, you know.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see. You kind of came on the radar. I don't even know how you got into Shadow Warriors.
I've been because it used to be something else before Shadow Warriors.
Yeah, it was Warrior Raffle.
Yeah, and I wasn't even making knives back then or none of that, dude. Like I've been in the group for a while, like seriously more than 5 years, more like
That's
7 or 8, you know.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And I don't even know how I came across it, but I was always into like raffles, EDCs, knives, you know, stuff like that, camping gear, whatever. So
Yeah,
um,
we originally got to the Shadow Warriors Facebook group. There was like, I think at that time there was maybe like 6 or 8 of us. And it was kind of like there was like a slowdown. Maybe it was 2008, 2009 kind of area. And these guys were trying to sell knives, and we were like, well, why don't we just start raffling them? Because other people are doing raffles
yeah,
or waffles on
waffles, yeah.
Facebook. Yeah. And then it just turned into a knife group, and we've done a whole bunch of other stuff. So I've always had the kind of like the passion for small businesses, and you guys kind of hit a chord because, same thing, right? Like when you were a kid, you carried knives, right? You
Yeah,
like
100%. Yeah.
there was no like collecting. It was like this is just
Yeah, this is a beater.
this is
It's a tool. Yeah, it's a tool, you know. Now we
I'm
collect
trying
them.
stuff. I'm doing it all. Yeah. And so
Yep.
it to see it turn into what it has to see going to Blade Show, and you've been to Blade Show, right?
Yep.
To see all that and to get like I've met some of like the best guys in the knife world, and I really think that there's a lot of growth to be had in the knife world. But I mean, a majority of guys can't do what you do, and that's like the basic stuff, right? Like have a name, whether it's your own or something else, right? Have something other than just like your face and your work, right? Have a brand,
Yep.
and then to be able to kind of like post and create that content.
You got to be loud.
You have to. I mean, people
You
are
have to.
blasted in the face with so much content on in so many ways, and if you keep your potential customer pool small of just the people you kind of know, eventually you're going to run out of people to sell knives, no matter how good
100%.
you are. So,
and even with what we're dealing with now with the algorithms on Instagram and Facebook and all that, I found a way to make it work for me on Facebook, and that's throughout these hundreds of Facebook groups that are on Facebook that are moderated by human beings and not by AI. So I get to create my own algorithm there with the knife groups and the bladesmithing groups and the sales groups and all that jazz. So I'm posting once to Instagram, but once I post it to Facebook, I get to post it to 40 other places. And that's thousands and thousands and thousands of people. One video on Facebook will get 3,000 views like in the first hour, and then you look over next day on Instagram, and I barely have 600 views on the same fucking reel.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's a great point, right? You're basically it's the system we're in right now. No matter how much Zuckerberg comes out and talks about it, we're in this system. You're lumped with like drugs and guns, right?
Yeah.
A tool, a knife that someone's going to place on their mantle and never use, or something that they're going to carry every day. And it's ludicrous, but we're here.
Yep. This is where we are.
So you got to do it.
Really have our place in it. Like, that's the thing. Like, for social media, it's like, and you think back before social media and all that. What did all these knife makers do? Like, I came into an era where making knives was easy to be seen and all that, compared to if I would have started when I was 18. All we had when I was 18 was MIRC and ICQ. It's an internet relay, a chat relay. It's just chat rooms. It's just nothing but chat rooms and scripting and whatever. So that's all we had pretty much when I was younger, and ICQ and MSN Messenger. There was no way to put your work out there or any of that. And even when MySpace came out, I never saw a knife maker on MySpace. All I saw was bands and friends.
Yeah, true.
And then Facebook came up, and then the Facebook groups, and then so like these guys back in the day, the old timers, like they must have had it hard, because like I'm here pushing my everything, posting constantly, consistently, and I'm getting good results.
Not knife shows, friends, family, like the reach.
But how did they hear about the knife shows? How did they make their friends? You know what I'm saying? Because my friends are from all over the world, and 90% of them I never met.
True.
Because I've met them here.
It definitely had to have been a struggle, especially for custom knife maker. But that's why I genuinely think, I still think this today, and I can give you examples like yourself, because you have I don't care what kind of knife maker you are, good, bad, this kind of knife, that kind of knife, great finished work, no great finished work. It doesn't matter. That actually doesn't matter as much as realizing this is the system that we're in, and doing whatever you can to get the reach inside of the system. I mean, I've seen some knife makers over the last couple of years. Some of what I would consider, in terms of my expertise, or what the knives that I've seen, are some of the best knife makers that I've seen fail because they don't want to play in this social media world.
Yep.
And they thought that they could have their potential customer pool be this, but it actually has to be unlimited.
Yeah, because now, like, especially since the Forge and Fire era, and then the COVID era, where everybody had time to do everything, because they were stuck at home. So, there's a lot of new faces that came into the game, and I'm one of them. Like, I can't
Yeah.
talk shit about it because, like I said, I am one of them, and I had no intention whatsoever to be where I am today with this. Like those weren't my plans. Like people start telling you should do something about this,
Did
and I
you
was
did you
working.
just like see the momentum coming and you were just
I
like,
had never,
all right, I made
like I
one.
said, yep.
Let me make another one, make another one, make another one, make another one. Like
I was making like 15, 20 knives a week to keep up.
that's
Yeah, and
awesome.
like seriously, within my first 6 months of making, I had 6 months of knives booked.
Okay. And do you
My
people realize he lives in the middle of nowhere?
Nowhere, nowhere. Where I have access to nothing. Like there's no Home Depots, there's no nothing. All I have here is a lousy. Well, I'm not gonna say lousy. They're great people, but it's just like you can't get anything you want like you were to go to Home Depot. There's a hardware store there. There's one 10 minutes down the road the other way. Even if I were to go to town, I can't find nothing. Like every time I need something specific that you think you'd find locally, I can't find it locally.
Gotcha.
So, and when the Amazon 2-day delivery is 4-day delivery here.
Ah.
So
So
gives you an
so
idea.
so you just now are you doing for the all the knife people, are you doing forged knives? Are you doing stock removal?
Um,
Like from the beginning.
at this point here where I am in my career, at first I was just doing stock removal and, like with old sawmill blades and stuff like that. When I got the first anvil in here, which was a loaner, that's when I first forged a spike knife. And then I was like, this is fucking amazing. Like I nailed it for the first time. Like I was like, I'm just okay with this. I'm gonna make another one. I'm gonna keep on going. This is awesome. This is fun. I had a blast doing it. And I kept on forging knives. I started forging San Mai billets and stuff like that too. Had Lawrence from Maritime Knife Supply. He was making Damascus billets for me too. So I was forging those to shape, being able to offer my first Damascus knives as well too. And it just never stopped. And now I'm at the point where I have a forge press. I'm making all my own steel, and I do stock removal from there. Because a lot of the steels that I'm working with, show you here. I don't know how good this is going to come up, but we have the cladding consists of 90 layers total of 1084, 15, and 20, and copper. And
Oh,
then there's a nice thick copper shim in there.
yeah.
And then you got 1084 at the core. You got a nice compound grind on that Tonto. This thing's a beaut. So, this is where I am at with my steel now. And I'm also selling steel as well, not just making it to use it for my orders. I make it for other makers too. So my books are pretty solid right now. I ain't
So
gonna
so you
complain.
really like jumped into it.
Oh yeah, dude.
You,
I am one of those guys. Yeah. It's all or nothing with me. That's anything I do. It's all or nothing. Like you only get one chance at it. Get it right the first time.
yeah, well, you see I can see the passion, right? I could see
Yes.
that. I could see it probably helped because of the wood, the
Yeah,
wood
the
sculpting and the using your
the
hands.
manual work and all that stuff that definitely came in play with my because my knives looked like shit at first, but my handles were beautifully sculpted, and my choice of materials for handles were like exotic woods, purple heart, and tiger wood, and stuff like that. And I had access to it because as a woodworker.
Yeah,
I used to turn my own gauges for my ears on the lathe with exotic woods and stuff like that. So like I had the knowledge of the materials, I had the knowledge of how to work with them, and
sure.
that made just working manipulating steel much easier too, because I've built buildings. If I could look at a bunch of blue lines and a bunch of numbers on a piece of paper, I should and build something out of that, I should be able to make a knife is how I see it.
You would think.
Yeah. For
It's
me, anyways, it's how it was. And I'm a very curious person too. Like I'm curious by nature.
yeah.
So like rabbit holes are a passion for me. When I get into something that I really enjoy, I get very passionate about certain things in life that I just jump all in. It's how I
So
am.
so you how like what's your business look like, right? So you mentioned like are you doing runs? Are you doing customs? You're making steel, you said. So that's
Yeah.
a unique position. I think sometimes people get too caught up in like one little thing, and you wonder why they can't sell any more of that thing, so they don't have any other revenues coming in. So what's your business look like, or the
I do a lot of customs is mainly what I do. I've got maybe like, and I got the Little River, the EDC buddy, the Big Buddy, that are pretty much like three designs that I'll make repeatedly.
Okay.
And then everything else is just random one-offs. There'll be a lot of Quakens and Tontos, but not one's going to look the same. You know, either steel or profile.
Yeah.
Everything will be different from one another. I like to get creative. Like this, here's another one I got. This one here is pretty cool. Like the shape on this thing.
I know. I've seen those. Yeah.
Yeah, and the scales too are pretty neat. So you know, I'm never going to make another one of these probably. You know.
I know, so it looks like a scalpel and a butter knife or something.
Yeah, I called it the scalpula.
Scalpula.
Yeah, like a spatula and a scalpel. Yeah, but it's it's a unique design, and everybody's all like, and they're drooling over it, but it's still sitting here, right? So I have a raffle group that I dropped it on there, and I'm working on filling the raffle right now. So like, I make it so I have no inventory on hand. You can't just walk into here and buy a knife from me. I do all custom works, all order. I got 6 months wait on my books, and it's all for all my steel pretty much. There's not much for mono steel. Mono steel is mostly like kitchen blades that I would do like chef knives. So
how do you sell? Do you Instagram, Facebook, website?
Facebook. Yeah, Facebook only. Facebook only. Yeah, my website does not have nothing for sale on it. It's there, Pickle Kutterz, K and a Z at the end.
We'll put a link in the description.
Yeah, and like there's no inventory there. You want to place an order, you could contact me from there, yes, but a lot of it happens on Facebook through DMs. I'll post the 40 groups, and I just put a description of the knife, and these are orders. It's not an available knife. And if somebody's interested in what they see, they will ask. And like I said, I'm posting the same picture to 40 groups.
Sure.
And some of these groups have 25, 150,000 people in them,
Yeah.
So it's good insight, and there's curious people, and they'll ask these questions like, what's the steel? What is this made? What's the handle material? What's the price on this? Can I get something like that, but with this done to it? And then it's like, yeah, DM sent, bud. And then I could spend an hour, like I could spend 5 minutes with somebody on the phone, talking with them and deal with them directly that way. I don't even take notes. I do none of that. It's all in the DM. They tell me what they want. And like half the time I just get that information when I start their build. It's like, all right, I'm about to start your build. What do you want? I know you want a chef knife, but what are we doing with it?
Yeah.
And sometimes I shoot myself in the foot doing that, because I start showing them handle material, and they want, like, I already had them pay for it. So the knife is paid for. Now they're asking for this handle material that would be more. And I feel bad, like being like, yeah, that's going to be $50 more, bud. So I just like let it slide, and they get the extra treatment for handle material.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But it's through the, at least from a knife maker, right? Or from a knife buyer. It's through the experience that I ultimately am going to determine whether I'm going to buy another knife ever again from that person. And I have this weird thing in my heart. Like, I want to know the person that I'm buying knives from. Now, that's what has been shocking about Blade Show, right? Is that people go to Blade Show and buy hundreds to thousands of dollars of knives and in between from people that they don't know.
Yeah.
That's I think that's like the special thing about the Blade Show and other knife shows, not just Blade Show. That's not how I am, because I've been very, I mean, you're going to go on the list, but I've been very, 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 I've had the opportunity to get to know guys like yourself and to be able to be like, yeah, I like that person.
Yeah.
I don't need to buy knives from a stranger because I know and like people. You know what I mean?
I've built some really good relationships with some customers of mine. I have that little repeat customer crew. There's that crowd
Sure, you got
of
to have
really,
those.
really good customers. There's one customer, anything that I put out that's, I know what he loves. So if I feel like making a Quaken one day, I'll make a Quaken. Or if I make some crazy steel that I've never made yet, and I just show him like a sample of like a test tab. I grind in a bevel and I test that shit and be like, this is what this steel looks like. Look what I just did. And then he gets all excited about it and he comes up with a build idea and I end up selling him a knife. And I had this conversation with him. I was like, why? Like, what makes me different from the others? And he's like, dude, you're just not a fucking douchebag, is what he said. You take the time to, talk with your customer and deal with them, and you're an all right guy. And he's my number one customer. And this
Nice.
guy's got money too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he's got money. I'm not saying he's loaded or anything,
No,
but
no,
he's a
no.
he's a businessman, and he's a collector of the EDC stuff too, and that's who he is. It's his personality. I'm not saying he's Bill Gates rich or
No,
whatever,
no,
but
that's also another thing that I've kind of realized over the last 10 years or so, maybe a little bit more, is it's not always a one-to-one with the guys who are buying knives, hundreds to thousands, right? Because if you're not a knife person, you don't even realize there's some people who can't even grasp spending $100 on a knife. So when I
they're
say
happy with the $10 knife from Walmart.
seriously,
Yeah.
so what I've come to realize is that the people that are buying these hundreds to thousands of dollars knives aren't always like the richest. They're not
No,
driving a Lamborghini.
no, they're not.
It's
They're not.
a mixed bag
Yeah,
of people.
it's a passion to them too. Like even I growing up, and I was into knives my whole life, and swords and like Japanese cutlery and Japanese weaponry and all that stuff, and anything with an edge, like tools, edge tools. I used to do a bunch of restoration on axes and all that too. So it just, I forgot what I was gonna fucking say. I'm sorry. I'm a
No,
little less. I got
no.
squirrels and hamsters and shit.
The
So
mixed bag of of people buying knives.
yeah, absolutely. And I used to be that guy too, where that's where I was coming to, is that I $30 knife was okay with me. Even when I first started going to Blade Show, I bring some folders back, and I was like $50 budget on each folder I grab. I was like, I don't need expensive knives. But now I'm walking around with $800 pocket knives on me, and I use them like they were a $50 knife. I don't care. It's like whack, 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 and I'm cutting shit and fucking, and it's all good. I love
Yeah.
these knives. They're solid. They've proven themselves to be worth $500 in my opinion.
I can't buy a knife. I thought I could, and I've tried in the past to buy a knife and then not use it.
Yeah.
But I have this I got off this thing where if I'm gonna buy a knife, I'm gonna use it for the task that it's kind of designed for, but I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna carry
I'm still having a hard time. Like I got a CRK and a couple Chavez knives that especially the last Chavez I got, I was so good getting it. I was like, this one's gonna be a user. I got it, I put it in my pocket for one day, and I was like, no, this is too nice to use. Put it away with you.
It's too beautiful to use it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So now
Yeah.
I'm beating on the McNeese. Like the McNeese looks like a beater, like you look at this and it looks like something you'd want to use, like.
Oh, for
But
sure.
the other ones get all nice and fancy. This is just simple milling.
Yeah.
Titanium, Magna cut, hand ground, awesome blade, solid blade, good action, everything. That's what I like. That's a good tool.
Sure. Yeah. And they are tools, right? I don't know. I feel naked without two things on me. One's a gun and the other one's a knife.
Yeah, we can't walk around with guns here, so
yeah. Yeah,
I feel you though. Like I wish I could, but we just can't. So
yeah, no. So it's definitely it's something that I'm just used to now, carrying the knives around, mostly folders, fixed blades. I love fixed blades, don't get me wrong, but just with the heat and all that kind of stuff that we have here, and I'm going into an office and that kind of stuff. So about the knives that you create, like what are you making? Like smaller stuff, larger stuff? Like what kind of stuff are you making these
I'll
days?
I'll make anything my kiln could take. So I got my kiln's 18 inches deep, so nothing longer than that, obviously. And I'm not gonna give myself the troubles of setting up to make a 3 foot long katana. Like I
Okay.
have no interest in making swords. I'll make a short sword, but I ain't gonna make more than that.
Yeah.
I like to keep things simple, but I always like to keep things different too. So it kind of like contradicts each other. It's like
Have
I can't make
you?
up my
What's the craziest request you've gotten? And completed. Well, sorry. First, the craziest request you've ever gotten. Period.
craziest request. One thing I did turn down was some kind of crazy anime thing that and I'm not into anime at all. And then when he showed me this thing, it looked like lightning bolts, and I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to grind this? And it was like a big piece and this crazy looking guard on it. And I was like, yeah, no, but this is
I
not my
get you.
channel. It was like I could take a shot at it, but it's gonna cost you like 5 grand. So
Yeah.
I gave him
Yeah.
a
Sure.
go
Sure.
fuck yourself price. So that was the craziest request I've ever gotten. But the craziest request gotten and completed, like biggest builds I've ever made, was the Duck Hunter,
Okay.
and I've built 3 of those so far. I haven't built one in a while, but those are like 4 inch tall, 10 inch long cleavers with like a 12 inch long handle, two-handed. Yeah,
Oh. Oh. Okay.
yeah. I called them the Duck Hunter because they were used to cut duck heads and chicken heads and all that on a homestead. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the other one's sitting at a camp where they butcher wild game and shit too, so they use it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it. Do you care or not care? Do you get like? Does it feel good when you see people like using your
Oh
knife?
yeah. Oh yeah, I want them to use them, dude.
Like
I
you
don't
get
make these things
pictures
for
of
nothing.
like blood
Oh
and guts
yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
or just like you get a knife back and you're like, or you see a knife and you're like, yeah, that's
It's
being
been used. Yeah.
used.
Yep. I had a couple knives. This one guy, customer, had 2 knives. He sent them back to me for a spa day after hunting, and like the pictures, they still had blood on them when I got them. So I was like, this is great. And these were like Nichols Damascus, like stainless Damascus steel blades. Like these were high end fancy blades. Like, and he used them, and and made my day. I was like, this is great. Yeah, sure, send them over. Free spa day anytime for you, but they're free for everybody. Like that got a knife for me, but it made my day. And I did get a lot during the hunting season. A lot of pictures of newer customers and some of the older customers using their shit still, and very happy with it. So it definitely does feel good to see people using them like that. That one customer that gets a lot of my stuff, like I said, my number one customer, he posts a lot to all these like custom knife groups and all that stuff.
Okay.
Because like I said, he's like into the EDC stuff, and he's got, if it's not every day, it's almost every day, carries one of my pieces on him. He's got
Nice.
fixed blade, folder. Some days he'll have 2 blades on, like 2 fixed blades, like one on his belt, and he's slinging. Like I made a ton, or like a short sword katana, if you want to say, for him, with nickel Damascus with nickel shims, 1084 core. Thing is wild, beautiful sheath that was made by Seamus from Buffalo Bones, and that's on like a sling setup and everything. Like this guy's riding around with his chopper, and he's got this big ass pickle cutters hanging out on his side. So it's
That's awesome.
pretty. Yeah, I love it. Like when I see these pictures, and he posts them to the groups a lot. So when people are like, "Oh, what's that?" and then I end up getting tagged in it. And then I've made, like, from the first copper my billet that I made, he bought the first blade off of that, and that was his first purchase from me. And I've made probably 10 of those thanks to him after that. And it was just like a smaller Quaken, very
Yeah.
short, like
Yeah.
5 inch overall length blade, and yeah.
How do you do all your heat treating and
Yep.
and all
Yep. I
that?
got my own heat treat kiln. That's something too I didn't fuck around with. Like when I saw things started getting serious, ordered that through Maritime Knife Supply there too. Like Lawrence is one of my sponsors. So yeah, he had that sent to me from Paragon, and same thing with my press. He was able to get a hook on a plug on presses here in Canada for a while because there was like nothing in the beginning, and
Yeah.
somebody saw the opportunity, jumped in, but didn't, he didn't work hard enough, and it failed. But
Yep.
I got like one of the 5 that he maybe made, and it's probably the last one that he made sitting in my shop. So, I was lucky enough to have Lawrence help me source these items just to make better quality work, and because I want to provide the consistency in my work. I don't want to have a half-assed stuff. Like it's cool. You could do it. We all have our ways. I used to get good heat treats. Trust me, I got a blade here that I could fold past 90 and it strings right straight back, like right straight. And this was a
Sure.
sawmill blade and like heat treated by eye in a
I
forge.
know. I mean, some of the one of the knives that sticks out in my brain was a sawmill blade. I think it was a 15N20. Is that
Yep,
a step
15.
steel? And it was heat treated the correct way and just ground the correct way, and it still sticks out. I don't have it because I was like testing it for a guy, and it sticks out in my brain as like one of the best knives I've ever had like ever. So it's I think that it's interesting, right? You get some guys who, like I said that earlier, you kind of like, it seems like you just like you jumped all in.
Give me a second. My audio went off here. So yeah, sorry about that. I guess there might,
My headphones thought they might have been like on standby and shut off all by themselves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you were coming
Yeah,
out from the phone.
no, I
Sorry
was gonna
about that.
say it just seems like you're a guy who jumped all in every way.
Yeah.
Where do you, in terms of business, right? Where are you gonna go? What are you gonna do? What, like, are you do you ever plan on doing a production run or getting an employee? Like, what's the future look like? I mean, you're pretty new business, right? Ultimately,
Yeah. 5
5
years in.
years.
The only thing that I see myself doing as a business is expanding what I have to offer, and that would be getting into more higher end folders, liner locks, and stuff like that. Like I'd have to get a milling machine, like benchtop milling machine. And to be honest with you, I'm happy with my little, what is it, 16 by 12 shop. It's two 8 by 12 shops together pretty much. I started an 8 by 12. I threw an addition on the back there when I got my forge press because I had no room for that here.
Yeah,
So
well,
like
yeah.
when I ordered that a week later, I had an addition on my shop, which I built myself because I was a carpenter. So the work for it mentality is there. So I get my own shit done. Same thing with this. I bought this as a shed for $300. It was a beat up shed, and I rebuilt the whole thing, and I
Awesome.
wired it and everything. And I'm happy with what I have with what I have right now. I don't
Yep.
say that I'm never going to change anything as of getting bigger. Production knives, no, definitely no for that. I like to keep it small, keep it
Yeah.
simple. I don't want those headaches. If anybody would want to work with me, like a major knife company, like say Brent from Baldman Knife and Tool, they're releasing a model, his thicker clipper through Boker.
Okay.
Matt Gentry from Gentry Knives as well too. He's got his
Seems-
pocket muck. Yeah, I
Yep.
picked one of those up, a great quality blade, for $35 US. I was like, I'm gonna get one, sure.
Yeah.
And so like I'd maybe do something like that,
What about
where
like, have you ever done any classes or?
once I had a student for a day in class where I had a 12-year-old in here and we forged a spike knife together.
And he cried and no.
No. The kid was pretty legit though. Like he was
Okay.
very like he's actually a crafty. He's a maker. He makes excuse me. He makes Harry Potter wands
Sweet.
and he sells them like a.
I was gonna say,
He
yeah, that's
probably has more orders. He probably has more orders than I do. Seriously, with fucking wands that he makes out of wood and he like very nice crafted his like how he displays them in the box and everything. Like when everything's shipped out, it's very Harry Potter-ish and
yeah.
like, and
Well,
he's
listen,
got something going. So
they're going to Universal Studios in Orlando, paying 70, 100, 120
oh
bucks.
yeah, for a plastic one.
Seriously, yeah, no, seriously.
No. Without a doubt, it makes no sense. But this kid, like I said, he's killing it with these wands, and he's probably what, like 15 now, and he's in the like the junior army, whatever the
Okay.
cadets, army
ROTC or
cadets.
something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So the kid's really like focused on life and the good stuff, and he's I appreciated having him in my shop, and I enjoyed the moment with him and all that. But to do it is something I had thought about doing it, like offering once a month classes and all that. And then I put some thought into it, and then I was like, I have to deal with people after that. And I was like, in person. Like I deal with my customers mainly.
Sure,
You
sure.
know,
It's a different deal when they're there.
yeah. And it's just not that it's people. It's
So hold
not
on. So hold
necessarily.
on. If I found my way up to Maine, could
That's
I
a
do
different
it?
story. That's a different story. See, that's the thing. You know, like there's guys that I'd let in, like my little brother for his birthday. I told him I was like, you're coming in the shop, and we're gonna make you a knife. Like I know
That's
he
awesome.
could make a knife. I
Yeah.
have no doubt that he can't grind a knife. Uh, he's a carpenter too. So we're all
Yeah.
three, all me and my both brothers. Like that's what we did our whole lives was carpentry. And the same thing with my other brother. Like he's in Connecticut still, so whenever he does come up, I want to try to get him in the shop so we could make something together. You know, like share that, actually share something with them because I was kind of like the black sheep of the family.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I'm the middle child, so I was the wild one, and
Okay. Okay. Hey,
the other
I'm
one,
here. Attention. Hey.
yeah, yeah. Like I spent a lot of time in the hallways in school, so
Ah,
yeah, I was that kid. And we didn't have Ritalin or any of that or Adderall when I was a kid in school, so
no,
we
it
were
was
just a
just
pain in the
work it out.
ass, and yeah,
Just run it out.
kick him out of class, put him in the hallway.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
disturbing the class, yeah. So that's what I had to deal with pretty much. But no, like I would do it for, like I said, people like you, my brothers,
Yeah.
a good friend or whatever.
It's not a revenue source that you see kind of
Yeah,
in and
no.
that kind of
And it
stuff.
sounds like I'm saying that I
No,
don't
no,
really
no.
care about it, but like it's I like to keep things like me as a person,
Sure.
simple life, happy life.
Sure. Hey,
Simple life, happy life. I don't need, I'm comfortable with everything the way it's rolling. I don't need more. Dude, I don't even have, like, it's not because I'm poor, it's because I
no.
don't need it. I don't have a living room set. You know what I'm saying? I have my computer space.
Yeah.
I have my photo space for my
Yeah.
photography and my knife photography, my 3D printer, and then that's all I need, a bed. And then I have my washer, dryer, fridge, and I make do with what I have.
Simple.
Like I don't have TV. I have zero cable, none of that. No, I don't need it.
Hey,
Like I
man,
went
that
through,
sounds kind of like the dream.
it's no distractions. Like I have no kids, no wife, no girlfriend, no nothing. Like I'm distraction free. Like, and it keeps things simple for me.
Yeah, it's well, man, like when you
Some
when it gets complicated, you almost look back and you're like, wait, what happened to
peace.
like simpler times?
Yeah.
And I've been there, done that, man, in terms of like having a real complex life. And
Oh yeah.
my wife and I are currently in the process of just like, how simple can we get?
Yeah.
Ultimately it's yeah, now that's, I mean, dude, that sounds awesome. It sounds like you're happy, you
Yep.
love what you're doing, and it's like where you're meant to be.
Yeah. That's why I'm like I don't want to say content because I'm more than content.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just I'm really, really, and it's not a matter of comfort either. And I don't want to step out of the comfort zone. It's my box. I could do
Sure.
whatever I want with it, you know. So like I don't have that person anymore to tell me what to do and where to be and how to do it. Or
Yeah.
like, I don't have a boss anymore. I don't have the obligations of, oh, we're
So
going out
good.
to eat tonight. Or and
So
I can
good.
be honest with you, I have no interest in any of that anymore because I am content with what I
Yeah.
am doing.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So so the best way for people to get in touch with you is through Facebook. We'll put all the links and everything below, and then just to watch out for knives to be posted and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, because I post a lot of like I'll post the work as I'm working on it, show off whatever, like test etch or some random process videos, you know, on the grinder or whatever. Uh, but every batch that I make of orders, I always throw in like 2 or 3 available one-offs. Like I need to let my crew. I just need to make what I need to make. So I make what they want made, and
Yep.
I make what I want to make at the same time. So
That's
it's
an
like
interesting
balance.
did you because that I think that either comes through a hard time or it comes through someone who's pretty grounded and logical. How did you come to that conclusion that you kind of needed to do a little bit what the customers wanted and a little bit of what
It's
you wanted?
it's both the hard times and the logical,
Okay.
grounded. It's both. I found myself through hard times, learned to know who I was, learned to love myself before anyone else, and figured life out. I kind of like disconnected from. That's when I lost TV and everything. Like I went out in the wild. I learned all this foraging stuff, all like wild edibles, mushrooms, herbs, and everything, medicine.
Yeah.
Started fishing. I don't even eat fish. Just got in touch with nature and myself, and that's where all of this comes from.
So, well, I mean, I know I appreciate that introspective. I think that's even deeper than I was going. I was talking about like in terms of the knives, right? Like,
yeah,
like I think sometimes people they chase the money,
yeah,
and then they're like, well, I really want to make this knife over here, but I got to be dedicated to my list and my customers. And
yeah.
I think that the best balance that I've seen is like people like yourself who make what the customers want, and then
Yep.
every couple knives or every whatever, make what you want.
Yep. I had 6 knives in this batch. 2 were what I wanted to make, and the other 4 were orders.
That sounds like a perfect balance.
And like I said, I knew what I was kind of doing because I knew Buddy was going to like this, and I knew it was going to sell.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll make something, show him it, and he jumped on it. So this is his now. He paid for it. He actually sent me the handle material, which is pretty wild. It's some of that, that World War II Ragmacarta stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah, this comes like from Polish ammo boxes or something like that. These used to be like their ammo cans because there's no steel or metal, like it was scars. So like they had hard times right back then.
Yeah.
And so they were cutting up rags and soaking them in phenolic resin and making their ammo boxes and trays and whatever they needed back then that way.
That's
And
cool.
that stuff is sought after. It's expensive. Like 3 pieces of this stuff is a couple $100 US. Like it's not the cheap stuff. So he has a lot of it. He sends me his own materials for handles. I got to build a dagger for him. Like he's got orders on the books, and he's buying one-ofs that are coming out randomly too. So yeah, he's a good customer.
What do you
appreciate it?
What's your most favorite knife shape and knife to make? Is there one?
I'm big into the Quakens.
Okay, yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, that's like my jam. Like I mentioned earlier, I was big into Japanese cutlery as a teen, younger kid and all that.
Yeah.
I don't know what influenced me into it, but I was always there. Like I used to have all those flea market samurai swords and katanas. I had a bunch of those.
I look back and I'm like, we literally just had this conversation the other day. So I've got a 7 and 11-year-old, a 7-year-old boy and 11, and we're trying to like get them to be outside and do stuff and all that kind of stuff. And I look back on my life with my younger brother, who's 2 years younger than me, and I'm like, why did my parents let me have a knife? like
yeah.
Just a huge Bowie or whatever.
Or the Rambo knife. That's what I had as a kid.
Seriously.
The Rambo survival knife,
And I'm like, why don't we start with like a shovel and a saw? My son has knives. My daughter has pocket knives and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, how about let's just stick to the saw, and then you can have like a shovel and that kind of stuff. And let's start there and realize that there's like consequences behind the actions of your tools. And then we can get into it. But I look back and I'm like, yeah, I definitely had like a 18-inch Bowie on my side walking in a neighborhood.
Yep, that's how it was though back in I was born in 1980, so I grew up in the 80s. Yeah, so we're pretty much the same age. And that's how it was back then. Like we'd leave the house at daylight and come back at dark. Parents would see us; they wouldn't come looking for us or nothing.
Nope,
it was free for all, and especially around here, where, like I said, very very small township. everybody knows everybody. You know, if you hear somebody screaming, everybody's running for help.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, it's a very tight community, and it has changed with
Yeah.
time, but it's still a good place to be because this is where I still am. And if it wasn't, I would adapt and leave. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's
Oh,
like, all right, this is not good for me. I'm out of here. You know?
Yeah, I think it's just I want to make sure that like we had pretty good heads on our shoulders, right? We never
Yeah.
did anything crazy. If we went out in the woods with a gun or something like that,
Yeah.
and there was another kid that was like not us, we would like let him walk ahead of us.
Get trusted.
Oh yeah, well, like, hey, like, yeah, let's just stay back a little bit. And nothing ever. I mean, there was little things like I've got some scars on my fingers and stuff like that, but nothing crazy. But yeah, no, it was just kind of a free for all. We kind of did what we wanted.
It's what it was. We had little dirt bikes riding those things all over the place, not even telling our parents where we were going. We had no limits to where we could go.
Did you wear a helmet?
Yeah, we did. We had to wear a helmet. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely, 100%.
Okay,
that was the rule. If you want your dirt bike, you have to wear a helmet. But we used to, even like as kids, like 8, 9, 10-year-olds, set the field on fire back here just to see the fire trucks fucking cruise down the old railroad bed. You know, it's like, it was funny to see the fire truck coming down this old fucking railroad track bed that's like a 4-wheeler trail now, and we would hide in the woods and watch the field burn and watch them put it out. Like, kids don't do that shit no more today.
no.
They wouldn't get away with it either, but like,
no, someone's getting in trouble and someone's like going to jail, kind of a deal.
But like when you said we didn't do crazy shit, like I was like, I don't know about that. We did crazy shit here.
No, we did. Sure. We definitely did. We were like hiking in the woods. We lived in kind of in a neighborhood, but often had a lot of woods near us. So we would like, I would have coveralls with a shotgun down my coveralls, walk in the neighborhood, and as soon as I got in the woods, pull it out. Like, nothing ever happened bad. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's it. Why did my audio? Hey, I'm sorry, dude. This audio is being.
No, you're good. But hey, listen. We can end this, especially the recording part of it. But thanks so much for joining me today and talking about your business and the knives. And I'll put the links in the descriptions for everything.
Yeah, that sounds good, man. Like I said again, sorry about that.
No, you're good. Anything you want to know?
There's
like
music playing. That's why. What?
You're good. I can't hear it.
Okay, good. All right. There was music playing. That I don't know what happened.
Was it good music?
Huh?
Was it good music?
It was actually, it was "Wish You Were Here" from Pink Floyd.
Okay.
So it was definitely good music. Now, I've been on the classic rock kick lately. That's what's been keeping my my mind calm in the shop.
Yeah.
Because I'm very big into all kinds of music, and some music I could work with, some music I can't. It just fucking aggravates the shit out of me, or just distracts me, or makes me angry. Like, I listen to punk music a lot, and like lately I've been listening to punk and it pisses me off. Because like they're like, yeah, fuck the government, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to hear this right now. I gotta focus on work. So I pick and choose my music on depending on how I feel and what's going on in the world.
Awesome, man. Anything you want to tell as like a closing thought?
Thank you, first of all, for having me on.
Sure.
We've spoken before in the past many times, you know, through DMs. We said earlier, I've been part of the group for a while now.
Yeah.
And even the fasting protocol group too, because I used to be big into that. I still do a lot of fasting, but just not as much into the keeping my maintenance going. But I'm still, you know, whatever. I'm still all day in a shop half the time, sitting here working on shit. So it's priorities. Awesome. I need to move around. But anyways, yeah. Thank you for having me on. If you guys want to check me out, like you said, the links are going to be down below. There's Facebook, there's Instagram. I'm on X, but nothing goes on there. That's just to see all the drama in the world.
Seriously.
And then Threads, everything gets posted to there, but I've never got anything from Threads. So don't even bother looking at me there, because you're looking at the same stuff on Instagram or Facebook.
And then Maritime Knife Supply. What you said sponsorship? Like,
yeah, that's this is one of my sponsors. He's out in Nova Scotia. He's here in the Maritimes, and he's a knife supply shop. Your one-stop
put his
shop.
link below as well.
Yeah, he's got literally everything you need to make a knife if you've never made a knife, from anvils, forges, steel handle material, pins, epoxies, belts, grinders, name it, attachments, everything. He even carries broadbeck grinders. He's carrying a Canadian-made grinder as well too. Atlas Forge and Tools stuff as well. Other makers that make hammers and tongs and all that stuff, they sell that through him.
Awesome, man.
So he's a really big part of the community. Also, you could find me with my two Brians. I call them my two Brians, Brian with a Y and Brian with a I. We got Brian House from Housemade. I don't
Okay.
know if you ever heard of
Yep.
Housemade.
Yep.
Him and Brian Cohn from B Cone Knives. We have the Work for It podcast that comes out every Thursday. You just look like you never heard of it.
I'm good. I'm going to check it out now.
Yeah, no, definitely check it out, because it's the Work for It podcast, and it's all about, the workshop and stuff like that. And we have the Patreon with that as well too. So the after show that we provide is an answer to one of the Patreon's questions. So at the end of every show, we read out a question from the Patreons, and we answer it in the after show. And it's all about business and stuff like that, and business growth, or how to deal with curveballs and shit like that. So we have 3 different opinions coming to answer one. Sometimes I'm sitting there, it's like, yeah, no, this one's not for me, boys. I'll let you answer that. But sometimes I get down and dirty and I get right to the point, and like, I'm not afraid to speak my mind either. So if somebody's bitchy and whiny in their question, I'm going to tell them to suck it up and just work harder,
Yeah.
So
True. No, that's interesting, because not a lot of knife makers want to help other knife makers, unfortunately.
I'm not that guy.
And I think that you can a person can glean a lot from your situation, right? Within 5 years, you're happy, you're creating a product that you care about and you believe in, and you see a future, right? Like, it's I think people get mixed up sometimes that a business has to get you to this certain levels of success, or it has to buy you this. But ultimately, what if it's a means to an end, right? It's to make happy and to enjoy your life and spend time and put good things out into the world.
I could work till 2:00 today, and I could go snowboarding.
If you had snow.
Excuse me?
If you had snow.
Well, we got snow. Like, the hills are open, but it's man-made snow. So unfortunately, yeah. But like, same thing with fishing and hunting. Like, I'll wake up in the morning, hey, I'm going hunting first thing today. While everybody's at work on a Monday.
Yeah.
I'm out there hunting with nobody in the woods.
That's awesome.
It's just me and nature, and I'm trotting along and I'm doing my thing. And then when I'm done hunting, come 12 o'clock, 11, 12 o'clock, I'm back in the shop working.
Right.
And if I go in for dinner and I feel like taking a nap, I'm going to take a nap. And then I'm going to come back out in the shop and work some more and be more productive than I was the whole day prior to my nap. So, like I said, I don't have nobody or nothing like holding me back to do whatever I want to do. Like, I fly down to Brian's shop in Florida at Housemade. I go work for him for a week just for appreciation for everything he's done for me, and nobody to answer to. So it's just great. Like, it's complete freedom.
Awesome, man. Pickle Kutterz, Nick Tobin. Thank you so much, brother.
Yeah, man. Peace out, everybody.